games, being relatively close to home, were much anticipated, and the long wait for their arrival was nearly over. Yet there was something beyond proximity that made these Olympics a big deal in my family. We were on a mission. Or more accurately, my father was on a mission, serving as the team psychologist to the U.S. men's national volleyball team. My mother and the rest of us were along for the ride. When I mentioned to my friends that Dad was helping the team, they were skeptical. Dad was 5'11" with a 4-inch vertical jump on a good day. No one would ever mistake him for an Olympic athlete, especially on the volleyball court. Yet he had a role, and an important one, to help the team play at the highest level. He was traveling to L.A. in an official capacity. He'd been telling us for years that the goal was for the team to peak at the Olympics, and he was tasked with helping create the conditions to make it happen. I had no idea at the time that the men's volleyball team, our team, would become the hottest ticket in town and go on to capture the heart of a nation. To understand how someone with no volleyball experience, beyond the backyard barbecue variety, found himself in the role of team psychologist to the national team, you have to go back to Eugene in the late 1960s. My parents moved to Eugene at that time so my father, Don Murray, could enroll in a PhD program at the University of Oregon. Their plan was always to move back to Montana when he graduated, but they fell in love with the town and decided to stay and raise a family. While Dad worked on his thesis, Mom had her hands full taking care of my older sister and me, both toddlers at the time. My younger brother was born 9 years later. Our family lived in the married housing complex for graduate students. A few units down, the McGowan family, Carl and Sue and their 2 young boys, was roughly in the same situation. Carl was working toward a PhD in motor learning, but his real passion was volleyball. He had served as an assistant coach to the U.S. men's national team in 1970, and he was intent on pursuing a career in coaching after graduate school. A third family lived nearby, Chuck and Marilee Johnson. Chuck studied in the same department as my father. He was working toward a PhD in organizational psychology, and like my parents, the Johnsons had young children at the time. When the weather warmed up in the spring and the sun dried out the rain-soaked grass outside our duplex unit, the coolers came out, cheap lawn chairs were unfolded, and my father fired up the barbecue. Raising a family on a grad student budget wasn't easy. These gatherings offered a rare chance for my parents and their friends to relax and forget about the stress of money and the pressure of writing a dissertation. Throughout his life, my father loved to throw a party. He had the rare combination of being both a great listener and a great storyteller. At these outdoor gatherings, he mingled with his grad school buddies, inquiring about their latest line of research and always eager to make connections and share ideas. McGowan, Johnson, and my father often organized a volleyball game for the adults, complete with a net that sagged in the middle and shoes roughly placed on each corner to mark the boundary. It was the kind of game most of us have played at least once or twice in our lives at family reunions or summer gatherings. Even in its most rudimentary form, volleyball demands a level of teamwork and coordination far beyond what we experience in many other sports. There is no ability to go one-on-one in volleyball like there is in basketball or soccer. Success requires players to work together. The game was set in motion with the serve from the back line, usually an underhanded hit in my dad's case, launching the ball in a parabolic motion over the net. McGowan would hold his arms together in the shape of a V to absorb the serve and bump the ball to Johnson. In volleyball lingo, they call this the pass. The player who receives the pass is the setter, and Johnson, being the shortest of the 3, would often take on that role. If all went well, Johnson would use his fingers and a flick of his wrist to loft the ball gracefully in the pocket of space near and above the net. The third touch is the hit, which starts with a player leaping in the air and ends with a forceful overhand swing of the arm, crushing the ball across the net. If the hitter and setter are in sync, the hitter times his or her jump so that the swinging arm intersects with the ball at the apex of the set. Less experienced players learned to stay out of the way when McGowan went to the net. When all 3 touches are executed perfectly, there is a grace and beauty.